So yeah, hello, good evening, everybody. As promised, here I'm again, Jason Liosatos. I got a fantastic guest on tonight. It's Clayton Thomas, founder of therootbrands.com. Thanks for joining me, Clayton. Great to see you.
Hey, Jason, thanks for having me. Let's see where this journey can take us.
What a joy. Hands off the wheel, let's go, yeah? Well, the thing is, Clayton, I've been promising people for a while now. I used to talk a lot before I was talking about the nitty gritty of the system of the world. I used to talk a lot sort of more like Eckhart Tolle, helping people find their center and balance. This is years ago. And then I moved more to sort of tell them why they got knocked off balance with the living in a global casino mental asylum that's driving them mad of debt and fear, etc. But now I'm moving towards in between those places and also bringing in the health aspect more, because as you have said, I know, it's pointless, getting your life right if your health's a mess. And I know that because guess what, everybody, I've bashed myself, booze, drugs, you name it. If anyone shouldn't be on the planet, it's me. So that's why I'm very passionate about bringing in the nutraceutical side of it and what you're offering, because I know how important it is to have your health, because I've lost my health before and I've died twice. It's a long, gruesome story, but now I can outrun most guys half my age. But thanks, Clayton. Fantastic for what you're doing, for your work. A friend of mine today, I spoke to her on the phone. She's using your product. She's very enthusiastic. She feels like she's a changed person. Her actual elderly dog, which I have also met, a tiny little thing in London, it snaps at your ankles, which is very irritating, And she said it came back from a walk in the park. It was completely whacked. And she tried the stuff out on the dogs, and she said it's a changed dog, So, yep. So if that's not an advert, what is, like, where do you want to start? I mean, the zeolite thing is the big thing. I've been swatting up on everything that you've been saying. You can show some slides if you want, or maybe next time. But what it seems to me, what you're doing is quite unique. I mean, I was listening to what you're saying. The zeolites being the big source of the orthosilicic acid for blah blah blah, but you were saying what your process is a unique process to your product, not done before. When you're talking about the signatures and the frequency and the natural, change of the crystals in the bottle. But where do you want to go with it? Let's look. Well done for what you're doing. It's a tremendous thing,
Well, there's a couple things to that. As you know, like hearing from Michelle and other people, but any guy that's ever created anything of substance or has attained any level of substance in society usually has a much greater woman behind them. I am no different. I am absolutely no different. But you hit on something that's really important initially, of really looking at every aspect of what's going on in society, but they're not siloed, right? What's going on in the financial systems? What's going on politically? What's going on environmentally, and what's going on with our health are all merged together. They all flow together, right? But we've been put in positions where we look at them in silos. But much like how our body functions internally, and Dr. Stefan Rao, who's a PhD medical technologist, virologist, immunologist that works with us, has the best explanation I've seen on it. And much of us think of balance being like a teeter-totter, right? Or a scale, right? That you want balance and it's only like this. If one side's off, one side's heavy, and that's not true. We function, and the world around us functions like a mobile, right? To where you've got all of these little different components, and if you tweak one, everything adjusts. And you don't want to adjust one too much because it throws off everything. People would understand that from the butterfly effect, right? But it's so important that if you don't have balance in one aspect of your life, it's going to create chaos in others. If you don't have your health, you're not going to have the money to enjoy, because you might work your entire life as an entrepreneur to make a lot of money. But when you're able to exit, or when you feel you're able to retire, you're going to spend a lot of that money trying to buy your health back. And many times that's not possible. So it's really important and crucial to understand that in every aspect, you want to have balance, but the nutraceutical concept is one, and the term wellness is something I actually hate, because honestly, wellness is like a level just above being really bad. You go, oh, you're functional. No, we want to be exceptional. We want to feel amazing. And there's a much better understanding of quantum physics now, and energy, and how we flow, that we are light, that we are not just physical. You know, our pineal gland is the light center of the brain for a reason, and it's been calcified for 5,000 to 10,000 years for a reason. That what we really need to do from a quantum perspective, and what my wife has done, is create quantum pharmaceuticals that aren't just physical. It's not taking something and getting an effect, but actually taking something and you're getting not just the energy, the intention that is in those ingredients, but also the intention of why and who made it. So we're seeing results that have blown me away. And I've been around animal and human wellness for 40 years and had a focus in detoxification and environmental toxicology for about 16 years. We're doing things now that I never imagined possible, and we're seeing outcomes. And that's the important word, is it's not talk and hype and hyperbole about that we can do these things. It's outcomes. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if you're a CEO, if you're a mom or a dad, or you're an athlete, or you're an entrepreneur, or anything that we do in life. If you're a practitioner, you're judged on one thing: outcomes. What are you producing? Are they positive? How much? What outcomes are you generating? That's what we judge ourselves upon, and we're really, really focused on that. And it's the beautiful part of having this amazing dynamic woman who's a creator in so many aspects. Painter, as we were briefly touching on, has created molecules in biotech and pharma, and has created, using her postdoctoral certification from Harvard in nanotechnology and bioscience engineering, along with her biotech and pharma experience, to take what nature has provided us and use the intellect and the savant level of intelligence that she has to take nature and use biotech and use pharma and use Harvard level nanotechnology and bioscience engineering in the creation of things that are naturally derived. And it leads to a different experience. And we can run with that.
Yeah, well, I'm that's my language, because I've been very fortunate to meet some tremendous people in my life who've taken me under their wing 35 years ago till now. Astrophysicists, mathematicians, shamans, healers, Reiki healers, this, and I've experienced, because what it really is when we talk about all these things, you can read a lot about it, and that's still if you like, what we would call the theology, the intellectual overlay. Real experience is what it counts, experiential. And I've had some experiences which I've never even written about, which have blown me away, literally, and talk about coincidences and magic and miracles.
Yep.
And I used to have Bruce Lipton on the show, and we used to talk about, he's a biologist, Biology of Belief was his book, I think. And I've sat with him and we've spoken about the manipulation of matter via consciousness, and how we can actually shift and change things with our minds. And I actually put it to the test. I had a lump on my finger. They were going to operate on me. I said, no, I've read a lot about this. Let's try it out. And I just concentrated on every day. It's going. I imagined that. And of course it's gone, right? And people will say to me, oh, well, come on, Jason, we can't make miracles like that. And I just say to them, Clayton, well, how about what happens when you have a wee? You can stand there, you can manipulate the molecules in your body to hold it, release it, etc. But that's just the start of it. We are magicians with amnesia, and it's just the miracles we can create. And I've said many times, Clayton, that at the moment in our current psychologically imbalanced state, most people were not responsible enough to have that back, right? Because we destroy ourselves. Now, enter your wife and enter yourself and someone who really knows about those miracles with molecules and with substances, and start doing the thing that you're doing there and bringing them together, and you using your intuition as well, and with the right intention and focus and for the right outcomes. Because most, I've met a lot of people in business who are just doing it. They don't care about people. They don't care about the people's health, but bring in an ethical alarm bell and a person of good ethics who really want to help people. then you're looking at a win-win situation. And you know, I've been listening to some of the results that you've been getting, and it's nothing short of a miracle, really. Let's be honest about it. But miracles are there for everybody. They're not something that should be surprising, you know.
And it's all energy. And to extrapolate on what you're hitting on, and I actually haven't discussed publicly this. I'll call it a theory, because we can see where you come along with this if you agree. When you talk about our mind being corrupted and not being capable of understanding or creating what we're truly capable of doing, heavy metals, mercury, and we'll just use mercury as the example, because mercury is the worst neurotoxin known to man. It's the second most deadly chemical behind dioxin and the radioactive isotopes. We don't count those because they just nuke you.
And they put it in your mouth, like, Clayton, and that's fine. Like, I just
exactly. I mean,
you know,
like, amalgam fillings are great. Don't worry, they're okay. They're 52% mercury. And you go, wait a minute. But the big issue is we're exposed to mercury in the womb, and a lot of it because what's in mom is passed into the fetus. And there's a phenomenal case that Paris actually has on our YouTube channel about this. She had 10 amalgam fillings put in her mouth. She was a professional dancer in London, and it just destroyed her in a very short period of time. And then within a couple months of having that done, she got pregnant. And then for 9 months, she was healthy. But as soon as she gave birth, she got sick again. And then at the age of 4, her son was diagnosed with cancer and was riddled with issues prior to that, but was diagnosed with cancer, a spine tumor, brain tumor. And for 4 years, she fought and did everything she could to try to treat this kid, and died at the age of 8. And then she found out that it was the mercury that was put in her mouth that is what poisoned her, that caused her to poison her child. And what's important is mercury is horrible, right, for what it is and what it does. It's a neurotoxin. It disrupts every system of the human body. But even more sinister than that, it disrupts every system of the human body differently in every individual. So your symptoms, right, might be diagnosed as a disease, a disorder, or a syndrome based on your symptoms, but it has nothing to do with the diagnosis. You are not diseased. You don't have a syndrome. You don't have a disorder. What you have is a level of toxicity that is expressing in a manner to give you a warning light that you need to address something. But when you look at what you were talking about, mercury is a +3, right? So it's positively charged, but it is the strongest +3 charge. So when we use clinoptilolite and clean slate, it's negatively charged. So it traps and binds that mercury. It'll grab onto it, hold onto it to allow it to be flushed out. But you have to look at the positive negative relationship in the brain. You have a +3 positive charge with mercury. That means it loves negative energy, negative emotions, negative experiences, trauma, all the stuff that we experience in life that we should be able to process out, get rid of so we can be light. The mercury actually holds on to. It creates calcifications. It creates plaque in the brain. It holds on to those things. So what you're talking about, our inability to manifest, our inability to get through those mental blocks that we experience. We've all experienced trauma from childhood going forward. Some people more than others. Women, I would argue, way more than men in all different aspects, right? And we won't get into child trafficking and sexual abuse and sexual trauma and body shaming and all the stuff that goes on in the media today. But all of these things are held on negatively by the mercury. If you can't get the mercury out, it doesn't matter what you're going to try to do spiritually, what you're going to do, it's not going to let go of it. You can make improvements, but you will never be able to get to a level where you can ascend the way that we're capable of doing if you can't remove the mercury. When you do that, it is so amazing to watch the release that people have. And like you're talking about with our mutual friend, she's dealt with horrific trauma.
Oh God, man!
Right?
Just to tell people, Michelle Young, and she won't mind me saying this, Michelle Young was a dreadful terrible, victim of something horrible. Her husband was Scott Young. I've done conferences with Michelle Young about this, and we've done conferences on child trafficking together. But anyway, Michelle Young, yes, so her husband was murdered, and they took all her money. Talk about trauma. What that woman and her family's been through. Well, I don't know. I can barely speak to her about it on screen, but we do, you know. But right, just so people know what's going on there. But and well done, Michelle. She'll be listening to this. I love you dearly. You're an amazing person, such an inspiration for people whose lives have been like, what a circus ride. I mean, amazing that she's come through that. What a woman. But right, sorry, go on, Clayton.
And watching over the last 4, 5, 6 months of how she's been able to let
we've frozen up there a minute. Clayton,
and better neurological function.
That's
she's created the solutions.
Sorry, Clayton, you froze up there just as you said about Michelle. You've known over the last 6 months. Just say it again. Sorry.
Yeah. So watching what Michelle has done over the last 4 to 6 months of clearing a lot of the negative experiences, which has allowed her heart, her brain to open up. And with the improvement of neurotransmitters with dopamine and serotonin, which we're able to boost up really effectively as well, she's created the solutions to her problems and did so quickly. She's like, I've been working on this for years and now I have all the solutions, and they just came to me. And watching that progress in all kinds of people, that their blockades, some of the trauma that's been holding them back or limiting them is just washed away, literally, as you we. And then you get to see what people are truly capable of. And that's really the beauty of it, of just, you can say, unlocking people and letting them walk out of this shell going, hey, I'm here. It's a lot like autistic kids, right? Because we do some amazing things with kids in the spectrum. And I don't like diagnoses because I don't believe in them. But for kids in the spectrum and kids that have been nonverbal, and we have so many different ages, but hearing from moms, you know, that have 14, 15-year-old boys in this instance that have been nonverbal since they were 2. And after a week or 2, they just start talking in sentences. And one of the twins that we have in Amsterdam, so their mom's Dutch, father is American. So dad speaks English, mom speaks, and they speak Dutch and English in the house. You're good.
Yep.
And when the kids, so after, I think it was a month or a few weeks or a month on clean slate, when they started speaking, they were bilingual. Because it's not that they're not there. There's just this wall, right? There's this block that's inhibiting their expression of communication, but it's not like they're not functioning. They're usually extremely high functioning. And when you start to remove that, they start talking. They go, I've been here the entire time. I just couldn't get the words out. You go,
my God. Okay. My God alive. Wow, Clayton, that's just mind blowing. You know, and I want to remind people, you know, I like what you said about the unlock, and you know, I could go on about this because people know I love talking about this stuff, you know, and we'll go on to the clean slate in a minute, which, by the way, clean slate is the liquid form of what we're talking about that Clayton offers. And, you know, when you talk about unlocking people and the dopamine and the serotonin, you know, I'm delighted to be on the planet now, because if I'm here exactly when I would like to be on the planet. My book is called, I know I always got to show it, it's The Emergency Transformation of Human Beings. I wrote that 12 years ago. It was a little early. And my first chapter, and it relates very much to what you're saying now, because we are in a transitional period now. Now, humanity doesn't have to, but we need now to open those gates within ourselves, yes, to move to another level of consciousness and reality. And non-reality, if you like, because the time is right now. There's a portal open for humanity to move through now. Your products are helping people move through that, and it's delighted to speak to you. And I just want to say the first thing in my book is the birth of a new epoch of consciousness, and I just want to mention that very briefly, and not to promote my book. I'm not worried about that. The word epoch it comes from the Greek word called epoche. And the word epoch here doesn't sound like epoch really, because it means stoppage actually, right? It means stoppage. And the analogy I like to give, Clayton, is in any pregnancy, there comes a time when the pregnancy stops actually and the birth begins, right? That's where we are now, everybody, right? Bingo. And I've seen miscarriages, 4 of them, 1 a year. And I'm telling you, they're a nightmare, right? I've seen them with my own eyes, right? With my own wife, right? And I can tell you something right now. We're in that period now. And in any pregnancy, when it stops and the birth begins, there's that thing. That's where we are now. So we need all the help we can get now. And we have to come forward now and give birth to something that wants to happen on the planet. Something that's been waiting to happen, in my opinion, for thousands and thousands of years. The timing hasn't been right. We've been choked off with mercury and with suppression and with slavery, and we've been choked off. Fear is paralytic to consciousness and development in a human being and its true blossoming. And what you're saying here to me, which I haven't heard you say about your product before, that if that can unshackle those chokeholds and release the mercury and release all those toxins to bring someone through into their true light. Oh my God, what are we talking about here? This is big, and it's the perfect timing.
And it's the fun part of playing with biochemistry on a spiritual level, right? Because we are light. And when you talk about fear and stress, you can put them both together, right? Because they use fear to create stress, because stress creates cortisol. Cortisol is the stress hormone. Cortisol actually shuts off, it makes you fat, right? Causes your body to store fat, fight or flight. But it also shuts off the production of dopamine and serotonin, right? In your gut. So does glyphosate, so do heavy metals, and so on and so forth. But stress itself shuts off the neurotransmitters that make you happy and feel good. And it's those neurotransmitters that can decrease cortisol levels. So they keep increasing your stress levels to keep the cortisol going, to keep your dopamine and serotonin levels low. But what's amazing now, and I can remember when we first started testing this, because we tested Zero In for 3 years before we put it on the market, and getting feedback from people and watching what this did in myself, in my wife, and then people as they tested it. If you boost naturally, now, and this is the key, not synthetically. And Rick James said cocaine's a hell of a drug for a reason. People get hooked on cocaine and heroin and MDMA because of MDMA is more serotonin, which we won't hit on. But dopamine in cocaine and heroin spikes so quickly that your brain goes, oh, wow, this is absolutely amazing. But it crashes in 30 minutes and you can never get that feeling back. So you completely destroy your dopamine pathways, and your brain is craving that hit of dopamine. So you start chasing the dragon, or chasing that feeling, going, oh wow, 1 line of cocaine did this, so I need 3, I need 5, I need an 8 ball, and then you're dead.
I used to work in a pub where a guy used to come in and give me my cocaine, and I'd be looking for him. Where is he, man?
Yeah, it's like so now being able to clean up your brain and feed your gut, because your gut, as we know, the gut brain connection, the vagus nerve, your microbiome, 95% of your immune system is in your gut. The 90 to 95% of our neurotransmitters of dopamine and serotonin are actually produced in your gut, and they're sent by your vagus nerve to your brain. So if you're able to feed the gut, what if you had a strategic combination of amazing proven ingredients, the highest quality ingredients we could get, that are strategically combined, that you can drop that in and allow your gut to go, oh, I know how to create dopamine and serotonin. But because the brain and the body are completely adaptogenic, that, as you mentioned, it is your intention, it is what you want to do that dictates the dopamine and serotonin levels. So if you're working during the day, you need to be calm, you need to be hyper-focused, you're going to have more dopamine and some serotonin. If you want to go do yoga, you want to meditate, dopamine levels come down, serotonin levels go up. So you're completely present, you're balanced, you feel absolutely amazing. You want to go do sports, you'll zone out, You won't fatigue as much. Your mental clarity is off the charts. When it comes down to crunch time, you won't choke. And when it's time to sleep, here's the amazing part. A decalcified pineal gland will take serotonin and convert it to melatonin. Melatonin puts you to sleep. The extra serotonin actually converts to DMT, so you dream. So the same little capsule that gives you energy, focus, and clarity during the day is the same thing that puts you asleep at night, because it completely restructures your circadian rhythm. Proven that. So this is the fun part, right? It's quantum, and it's better living through biochemistry. And when you start to play with it in manners that are healthy, that allow your body to start becoming the dynamic, amazing light factory that it is, then you get to start to play with stuff, because like we have on the package that 1 to 2 capsules of 0N a day is good. I take 2 to 3 at a time. And like, if you want to feel absolutely amazing, and I'll tell you, don't do this during the day unless you just want to zone out and go do stuff. But like 3 or 4 has your dopamine and serotonin levels not amped out of your mind, but so elevated that everything becomes amazing. And you become so hyper-focused on whatever you want to focus on. So if your intention is to relax and go have fun and be out with friends and go to the pub, it's like going to the club, but you're completely calm. And you want to spend time with the kids, you're hyper-focused on the kids. You want to get work done, you're hyper-focused on getting work done. But when it's time to shut down and you intentionally want to shut down, you're done. It's like nothing I've ever seen, and to hear it from people consistently from the age of 6 to 96, especially now with this interesting environment we've had over the last 18 months and a lot of kids being homeschooled. We have 6-year-olds that take their capsule and their drops. They're like, I'm able to sit down, I get all my schoolwork done, and then I can go play video games. Good trade.
Amazing, man. Amazing. My God. Well, people who know me quite well, and there's a lot who watch this that do know me very well, and they know I'm an open book, and I talk about my very checkered career. I've been, well, God, no, you know, I can't say it all on you, right?
There were memories coming back there for a second. I saw where you're like, what, I can tell you.
I've been homeless in Cape Town, homeless in Florida. I've done most things, okay? And I, really, when I look back, and that's why I can help people now to find I not help people find help people remember their magnificence, because I lost it myself and I've got it back as well. And most people are chasing that thing that they can't quite get. It's like that lovely analogy of the musk deer. I think Ram Dass said it years ago. There's a musk deer that's looking out there for this beautiful smell that's coming from its own navel, and it's always out there. Where is it? In the next drink, or in the next sniff, or in the next this, or in the next chick, or in the next. And it's like, oh my God, it's actually coming from yourself. So this is the yeah, right. So this is the beautiful thing that I think we it's almost like humanity's been on this huge sort of, search for itself, and it's actually here right now, and I think we've had to sort of lose ourselves horribly to find ourselves, and I believe that's where we are now. I write and talk about it all every day, and that I believe it's like the great remembering, dismembering, remembering, dislocation, relocation, so it's that beautiful time we're here to remember ourselves, and we need all the help we can get. And it is so very, very beautifully interesting that I was looking at the leaves on the trees today, often. But one quick thing I want to say to people: often people have got to get, and you'll know this with your work, often people have got to get to the point where they've completely can't stand it any longer. It's like you're drinking all the time, or whatever you're doing, you're porn all the time, any of the traps. And it's like, I just can't stand it anymore. I need to move forward. And I believe humanity has got to the bottom of the spiritual battle now. We've become spiritually homeless and health-wise homeless. We're fat, we're eating what we like. But I see very few guys without a beer gut on them, or some kind of fat stomach. Very, very few, Well, hey, check me out, what?
That's right. See,
ow.
She's like, you're getting fat. I'm like, okay, fine. I was like, I was a sprinter in college. I was 4% body fat. And I'm like, okay, I was lean in college. Yeah. Now I prefer to be like a good ribeye. I'm like, I need some marbling. Let me keep that on. Like, That's the flavor, right? I mean, that shows you've had some experience, but you're still in control.
That's right. Well, there was kids down here one night, and they were saying, "Oh, they were trying to kick me." I said, "Look, I'm so fit, you can kick me right in the stomach." And then I went a step further, which was a bit stupid. I had them all on the settee, jumping on my stomach, right, like a trampoline, because I am still quite fit. Yeah, go on, you can jump on a 60-year-old man's stomach, and he can take it. Of course, 3 days later, I had black bruise, and it was very stupid. What I'm saying,
don't show them that part.
Don't show them that part.
They're like, "This is the coolest guy I've ever seen."
Wow, you can jump on his stomach. And then, like Harry Houdini, someone comes up and punches you and you die when you're not ready. But this is where we are, ladies and gentlemen. We're at the point, I would call it the inception of manual override. We've been on automatic pilot for so many years. Humanity's like an airline, like a passenger ship. Humanity's on it. We've been on automatic pilot. Now it's time to take control and take back manual override, and we can make ourselves healthy, right? It's wonderful. So what I want to ask you, because I was taking an ESS 60 for a while, one of the real good ones. It was in olive oil, and I know I felt really good, but that was the buckyball thing, the Buckmaster Fuller, the buckyball thing. And I've been seeing the things on I was going to show them on the screen here, but I don't know if I can get them up. But so how does it mop it up? This is what I want to ask you. How does it mop up the toxins, and what happens? Because that will be what people are saying. Well, what happens, when you take this stuff? Okay, let me see if I can. While you're getting into it, I'll see if I can find it. Hang on, go on.
So I'm going to hit on two things you touched on, both just briefly before that. So when you talk about epic, right?
Yeah.
Or the epoch, in every aspect of life, it's important to pause. Right? And you can see this in nature, and like you said, there's always a stop. Sometimes it's extreme. It can be minuscule, right? In time, but there's always a stop. If you like film, they edit, there's cuts. You might not be able to see them, but there's a cut between scenes. If you watch a cat, if you're around a cat and you scare a cat, right? They're one of the most agile creatures you're going to find. But when they get scared, the first thing they do is stop. Because what they do is they force a reaction from whatever is scaring them, and then they immediately adjust. So it's important to understand that what we're doing right now is just that. We've been going on this path, and spiritually, there was a stop. It's like, okay, now how are we going to do this? When you have that stop, it's what my dad taught me, and I think Yogi Berra helped a little bit with this. But when you come to a fork in the road, take it, because you might need it later. It's not a matter of which way you're going to go, but take the fork with you. And when you get that, it's just a matter of knowing that one of the best things we can do in life, you might be in the middle of a storm and you think your whole world is chaos around you and it's all hell with kids and work and money and stress and the world and vaccines and all this stuff. Pause. Take time to pause. Just stop for a second. Reassert. And it leads to the second point, because there's an analogy that I've used. And it goes along with computers. It goes along with that pause. When your laptop gets loaded with stuff, there's a process that we do to reset. We hit three things: Control, Alt, Delete. That's what we're doing. We're just doing it biologically instead of on the computer. And you can't just tap Control and then tap Alt and then tap Delete. You have to do it simultaneously, because there's no one silver bullet. There's no one button you can press that's going to do everything you need. You have to do a couple things simultaneously. And then what happens? You get a shutdown, a clean out, a little bit of rest, and a reboot. And you come back brighter than ever. We can compress that time, but that's the key. And that's where clean slate really comes in and is important. So when you talk like the carbon 60 and such, which is a much more expensive, less effective approach than what we're doing, but it's had some marketing because you can spin it, right? And I prefer to defer to nature as much as possible and as heavily as possible. And there's amazing crystal, and we know many of us are well aware of how amazing crystals are and how they resonate with us, and their ability to hold and store energy and do many different things. And Superman went to his fortress of solitude that was all crystals for a reason. They were putting a hint to that, and why salt caves are so amazing. But this amazing little crystal called clinoptilolite, which is a sibling of quartz, it's actually the strongest of this class of crystals called zeolites, which quartz is part of. Everyone knows how amazing quartz is. What we've been able to do is take the purest source of clinoptilolite available and then process it. We basically frack it because it's a natural negatively charged honeycomb that is nature's sieve. So the Romans used this to line the aqueducts. We just learned in October of last year that the Mayans 5,000 years ago were actually doing the same thing. We didn't know about it. It was just discovered last year. It's crazy. And what we've been able to do is take this amazing crystal that's been used for, here we go. We get into some of the fun stuff.
Can you see that there?
Yep, I can. And
is that any good? Yeah.
Yep, that's perfect. So we break this crystal into much smaller fragments. So think of taking a honeycomb and blowing it up, right, into different chunks. So kind of like what you see, right? You have this rock, and that you can break it into much smaller particles and fragments. We clean out that cage structure, and then we add some stuff to it. We add trace minerals. We add vitamin C. And one of the things that's really special is this frees up a massive amount of bioavailable silica, because this little crystal is a sodium aluminosilicate. And you can look at the bone formation and some of the benefits that are known, because what this crystal can do when consumed because of that silica. We free up a massive amount of this. So we create this superstructure, and then when we put it in the bottle, we polarize it, meaning we supercharge it. Because you have this naturally negatively charged crystal, and we know that it has its energy. And it's much like having a regular car engine and a supercharged engine, or the easier analysis, because it is a magnet. If you have a wall magnet that you put on your refrigerator, to stick papers or stuff on, or you have a rare earth magnet that if you stick on the refrigerator, you can pull the refrigerator because of how strong that rare earth magnet is. We turn that wall magnet into a rare earth magnet by increasing its charge and capability. So it's able to do some things that this crystal's never done before, because it's never had this process put to it. And in so doing, you have the ability to start to remove the heavy metals, the mercury, the lead, the aluminum, the cesium, the strontium, the glyphosate, which we know destroys your gut and other parts of your body, the mold spores, some of the biotoxins like from lime. More importantly, in today's world, things like graphene
oxide,
and viral fragments. And these are all published. This is all proven. It's not me saying, oh, well, we think. No, this is known. And
sorry, Clayton, one thing I want to say and hold that thought, just for people to think. Most people you see, every human being mostly, as totally toxic with mercury, because most of them have been multiply jabbed when they were kids. And I'm not saying I'm a complete anti-vaxxer. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying.
No, and it just is, and it's not just the jabs that you got as a kid that had thimerosal in them, which is mercury, and it's what was in mom,
right?
It's in you, and then you got breast milk, and then you started drinking water. This just in, the freaking air is the most polluted thing we're exposed to, and you inhale 30 cubic meters of air every day, and it's not clean. And then you have the rest of the environment that we're exposed to. All of these things just increase your body burden over time, and eventually you get to a point where you express signs or symptoms of toxicity. That's all this entire establishment that's been based on providing prescriptions based on a diagnosis is predicated upon. Honestly, it's freaking genius. They have made trillions of dollars by knowing what an underlying cause is and never addressing it. and just saying, we're going to create a bunch of stuff from petroleum that's going to treat all of these symptoms that come from this cause, and we're never going to get rid of them. And you're going to get more symptoms over time, so we can prescribe more of our substances to you for those symptoms. And those things that we prescribe to you are going to create more symptoms, which we can prescribe more things for. It is genius.
It's
I wish
genius.
I would have come up with it.
Me too. It's genius. It's like,
we could take over the world. Oh, they did.
They sell you the stuff that gives you the cancer and gives you the cure for the cancer that they sell. It's like, what the hell? And I've often said to people, look, they say, oh, come on, Jason, they wouldn't do that, would they? And I say, look, if you got the CEO or something of a giant drug company, you know, no names, all right, and an unscrupulous being, let's say, but they got kids, they love their kids and stuff. Okay, so don't forget, money ethically compromises sometimes, so we can sort of forgive them in a way. But you get them on a truth lie detector, you know, and you'd say to them, look, you know, do you want people to be really well without disease? What are they gonna say? No way, man. No way. That would be the end of our business. You know what I mean? So, man, it's amazing. Sorry, Clayton, I jumped in there again. So
no, and that's really, really the key of. So we've taken the best of nature, and it goes back to what we were hitting on initially from a timing standpoint. There's no time that's been more important than now to be able to hit Control Alt Delete. We've gotten to the point in humanity where our hard drive is loaded with shit, right? Our operating system needs a reboot, right? We have to flush out all the bad stuff and go, okay, it's time for a new start. We can't go buy a new computer. This operating system is what we get in this world. The beautiful part is we have the ability to upgrade this operating system with our intention, with what we can put in and what we can do. So the hard drive, the hardware, is what we really want to take care of. But the software, and what have we learned from Uncle Bill, other than vaccinating the world is a great idea, that it's the software that's really valuable, not the hardware, right? It's not this part. It's all of the apps. It's everything inside it that is of greatest value. It's the data, right? It's the information. That's what we're restructuring and allowing to become amazing and getting rid of all the bad stuff, right? So you can say that we have antiviral software for our operating system, right?
And so many people now, I can feel with people, you know, with what's happening in the world. I won't go into it too much, but look at my other shows if you want to see me ranting about that. But there's a divide in society. There's almost, like you could say, I don't like the word, but you could say there's almost a breakaway society where there's people who want to really be well and transcend and move onward and upward and really tap into that thing that wants to be born in the world. Something wants to be born. There's something new that wants to take place. And it's being prevented by our stress, by our unhealthiness, by our this, by our this. So really the crash that's happening now that you see, whether it will be a digital reset or whatever, or the breakdown of society as such, really is a blessing. This is my opinion. The COVID thing's been a blessing because it is a smelling salt for people to actually wake people up and say, I want something more. Now there's people that are going to go along with it and they're just going to carry on and do what they're told and do everything. That's fine. It's okay. You mustn't say anything about those people because it's fine. But there's a lot of people who really want to step into their power now and really, really accelerate their spiritual development. And that's where we are now. There's no two ways about it.
Yep.
And if we want to move to the next level, we need all the help we can get. And it's quite an amazing situation to be in. It really is. And, you know, I'm glad that your stuff's vegan, it's organic, it's GMO, non-GMO. I did a conference with Vandana Shiva, an amazing Indian lady here in Devon. And she was talking about what it's doing to people, these terrible things, the glyphosate. We had a whole conference on it. And I mean, this zeolite stuff, it seems like sort of, you mentioned earlier, I wanted to just, with the zeolite thing, because people said, oh God, what is this zeolite thing? Because you were saying you've got your own sort of almost exclusive mine thing there, and you source it there. You know, What? And I heard you talking about, which I found very interesting. You were saying, I forgot what you said. You break it down so it's like flowers. It's that much of a dust, and then you introduce it into the liquid. But most people are just give it to you like that. For instance, I've got clay downstairs, and that's it.
Yeah.
There it is. But yet, then you work on that. What most people sell, you work on that. Then what happens with that?
Yeah, so I actually had someone ask this as a question on our YouTube channel yesterday, and it alluded to this question, and it was a guy saying, oh well, this seems amazing, but you can get powder of clinoptilolite and it's really inexpensive, and $69 for a little bottle, it doesn't make sense. And my response was, well, let me give you an example. Poppies cost a couple pennies to grow, yet when you grow a bunch of them and you process them, a kilo of heroin is $40,000 to $70,000, right? And a kilo of sildenafil powder will cost you about $20. But when it's processed, a 100 milligram capsule of sildenafil sells for about $40, $46 actually, because people love Viagra. So you have the aspect of some people would take poppies and just say, oh my God, this is poppy. It's amazing. You can make heroin from it. Okay. Or you can take powdered clinoptilolite and go, this is amazing. This is what it does. You can take this. It does all this to detoxify the body and detoxify the environment. And you can do the same thing with sildenafil. But you also have those that function with a higher level of processing or acumen that say, great, I'm going to take that. Let's come up with a process to create something from it, to create something better. That process costs money, right? But it also gets back to the one word that I hit on before, outcomes. That process is what exponentially creates better outcomes, right? You can go down to Colombia and chew on some leaves, or you can go down the block and go get, a couple lines of white powder. They go, hey, it came from the leaves, but it's processed and they function a little bit differently, right? There's a different value applied to those because the outcomes are different. They all derive from the same place, but what are you doing with it? Are you taking it and just throwing it in water and saying, this is really special? Or are you actually doing something? And are you creating something new? And then when you're creating something new, great, because then it's all marketing, right? It's, oh, well, someone said this or someone said that. Great. What do the outcomes show? That's what differentiates us, is when you look at the data, when you look at the outcomes, you can't compare them. And I think that's what's really crucial. And the same thing goes for Zero In. Zero In is a natural dopamine and serotonin agonist. It's a natural adaptogenic nootropic, right? And nootropics have become really popular because people want their brains to feel better. They want to function better. And you have a lot of companies saying, we put 30 different ingredients, or we put 40 or 50 different ingredients all together. We took the best of everything, and you need to take 6 or 7 capsules at one time. And I'm sitting there going, people don't like to take one capsule. But how do you know strategically that each one of those ingredients synergistically is working together in the right amounts by what you're putting together? They have no freaking clue. So when you take something like Zero In that has 7 ingredients, 5 actives, 2 catalysts that are all strategically stacked together, that when they're ingested, they click in about 10 minutes. If you take one naked, as we call it, open the capsule and just put it under your tongue sublingually, it's an experience because it hits in about 30 seconds. And there's no comparison between any other products in the market and what that's doing. And it's why we had to get banned substance approval on the product, because it was so effective. Some of our professional athletes were going, hold on, is this stuff illegal? Because it makes me feel really good. Is this addictive? Because I feel good right now. I'm like, this can't be legal. I'm like, no, actually it's banned substance free. And That's the difference when you use real science, real process, and a biotech savant that can create. And that's what's really, really different. But it's hard because we're having a conversation, and this is still just hyperbole and hype, right?
It's not experiential. It's not experiential. It's like that theology.
That's what we're supposed to do in life. Yeah, we're supposed to live. That's why people can listen to your pods and listen to your experiences, because you've done stuff and you go, okay, so he's been homeless here, and he's been homeless in Miami, and he was in South Africa, and he's been through Cape Town, and he's been here, he's done all these things. It's these experiences that are what create knowledge, right? And that allow you to provide a perspective that is different than others, that they can then use to say, okay, well, I might not be able to have all of those experiences on my own, but I'm going to take those experiences and I'm going to apply them into my life so they can have better outcomes. And
so many people are looking for I feel so sorry for people, because we've become very empty with our lives, and
yes.
I think so many people want to feel good now, and you don't look. I'm not vilifying booze, because I'm not drinking at the moment. For me, it doesn't do the trick for me. But it's one of those things. I'm off it sometimes, I'm on it. But we're just looking for something to fill that hole inside ourselves all the time. That hole. And Ouspensky, I used to like reading Ouspensky and P.D. Ouspensky, and he used to call it self-remembering. So part of this product is self-remembering. It is self-remembering. It's reminding oneself how we should really feel, and sometimes you need something. Look, I wouldn't tell everyone to go and do ayahuasca or DMT or whatever. I wouldn't tell everyone to go and do acid or this or that. I've done most of it myself. But, I did once go and do ayahuasca. Why? Because I was in a place where I was drinking too much. I was drinking too much coffee. I was doing other things. I needed a shock. I needed a real death and a rebirth. Sometimes it's good for that. There's that frog spit you can take for that and stuff like that. Now, what a joy if you can buy your product and not go through a night of hell, right? You know what I mean? To actually have a little jog and a remember. So it's like, shit, put one of those under your tongue. It's like, hey, shit, I feel better, and it's just, sometimes we need assistance. And if it's natural, what a joy.
Yes. And it's the key of, as you hit on, we just want to feel good. We want to be better. Innately, we always want to feel good. And one of the problems is, and we see this in kids a lot today, because they're so toxic, because we become such a toxic society that they have a lot more in them that's a problem, right? And what we end up doing is self-medicating, right? But we don't go get a prescription. What we do is the brain tells you, find me a solution. I don't feel right. I want to feel better. So we usually go to the path of least resistance. You ask friends, hey, what do you got to make me feel good? Oh, dude, I got some weed. You want the indica, it'll help calm you down. You don't, or you know what? Cocaine's a hell of a drug. Have you tried? Or you know what? If you put this needle in your arm and you just do a little bit, you will feel euphoric. And you go, oh, you know what? I want that feeling. I just need to get away for a little bit. Or they're like, you know what? A little bit of meth goes a long way. And they find these paths, and those paths aren't healthy, right? They're actually detrimental to your well-being and your longevity and your bank account, and which leads to other stress. And then you start doing stupid shit to get more money, to get more drugs, and you go in this loop, and it's terrible, or you just die. And being able to take the approach of, great, let's hit Control Alt Delete. Let's eliminate a lot of the stuff in the brain, in your liver, in your organs, in your joints, in your body, in your fat, that's causing a lot of these issues, that causes the negative inflammation, that causes the disruptions, that causes the negative emotions. Let's work to eliminate that slowly, passively, systemically, allow that to start coming out, but then also regenerating your gut, reboot your microbiome, and then kicking up your dopamine and serotonin, your melatonin, norepinephrine, those amazing neurotransmitters, kicking those up. So you go, oh, I'm a new person. No, you're not new. You're the same upgraded version.
Yeah.
And that's really it, is taking that different approach of saying, okay, I'm going to do this the right way now. And I can't tell you, we've got friends being here in Nashville that are very influential in the music industry. I mean, have made a lot of really amazing music over the years. And one of them is he and his brothers are considered some of the greatest artists of all time, playing keyboard and bass and such. And when they were younger, when they were touring, they were using a lot of chemicals. And now they're still touring. They're in their 50s. And now they're juicing because they're doing everything they try to do to get their health back. They're like, man, when we were on the road and we were doing coke and everything, that wore our asses out. Now they're trying to buy back that health, but also trying to maintain it so they can keep doing the things that they love, but also kind of get rid of everything that they did in the past. And if you have the option, don't load yourself up with the chemicals and toxins initially. So if you haven't done a lot of that yet, try this. It'll be amazing. But if you have been down that path of, okay, I've put in a lot of other substances and chemicals that probably are not ideal for longevity. As you clean those out, you go, holy cow, this is better than what I used to play with. And it's natural.
Exactly. I mean, I was looking at some lights on the water with my wife recently, just colored lights in the night. And we were looking and we were going, wow, man, wow. I said, I used to do acid to try and see that. Do you know what I mean? It was like, and there it was like, wow, So, we have our scars and our bodily, I still get nosebleeds from all the terrible things I did, But, we are, guys, let me tell you, we're at the bottom of the barrel. And if most people were really honest, and I say this to many people in my shop, it's like a doctor's surgery in a way, in my gallery, art gallery. If most people that come in were really honest, how do you really feel now, guys? How do you really feel? Be honest. Most people are empty and they're spiritually empty. And it's like, I don't feel good. I don't feel happy much. I don't feel cheerful much. I feel quite negative. I feel bloody unhealthy. And the more you keep that a secret, the worse it gets, because it's just a spiral. You get fatter. So this is the time, everybody, where we need all the help we can get to really come home. It's a homecoming of humanity. We're right there on that cutting edge now. And my God, make the right choice and get these products. And anything else before we go? Clayton, it's been great speaking to you. It really has, and very inspiring to speak to you and hear what you're doing.
It's I think there's two things to it. It's like we're right on the goal line, right? Or since you're in the UK, I'll use an analogy that will evoke some negative emotions for people. You have a PK, and you have the chance just to put the ball in the net. It's not hard, but because of the pressure around you, you might put one off the post every once in a while, or you might just kick it right to the keeper. Now, granted, we're not going to have a 19-year-old take the last shot for us in this game, right? We control this. It's a matter of just saying, great, let's finish the game. All right, let's do this chapter or these last chapters, however many chapters there are, right? Because the one thing that we don't get to determine in many aspects is how many chapters we get to write. But what we get to control is the narrative. And one of the things we found in clinical analysis is that using the Trinity, using Clean Slate, Zero In, and Restore actually biologically makes you younger every time you use it. So the goal at the end of the day is to die old, young, because it's all about quality. So if you want the quality back and you want to make sure that you're doing everything you can to create the quantity, try it. It's worth the effort, and it's something that you will do continually. Because if we're able to get younger every day, then that's not a bad thing, right? And it doesn't matter when you start then, because if you're 50, 60, 70 and you want to feel like you're 30 again, that's doable. If you're 18 and you've got the issues that kids have today, well, you want to be a healthy 18, and then you want your body to maintain being youthful as you age. Like for me, I'm almost 45 now. And like a year and a half ago, I got carded for root beer. I'm like, and it made me feel great. They're like, hold on, you think I'm 21 and this isn't even alcohol. Perfect. You know, that a healthy body doesn't have a lot of wrinkles, right? There's a story of a guy in this book that I like to read a lot. Well, I haven't read it a lot. I follow some of the teachings, that he told everybody a flood was coming for like 120 years. And at the age of 600, he built an ark. At 600. What was the difference? Well, their environment was a lot better, right? It was clean. They had amazing things. They weren't blocked and inhibited the way we are. Will we make it to 600? I don't know if we want to go that long. But we know $1.20 is good. And why not feel 50, 60 when you're 120?
Mm-hmm.
It's possible.
It's great to feel good. Honestly, I felt terrible as well. And I tell you, I've been really unhealthy in my life, but I can just break into a sprint now. And I'm 60 this year and sprint so fast, flat out, until I want to stop. And it's a lovely feeling, guys. Yeah. And you can't do that if you've got a big belly and you're really unhealthy. And, you know, it's worth it. You know, your body can repair itself. It really can. I know that because I've done terrible things to myself. And Clayton, it's amazing. So rootbrands.com, there'll be a link under the show for people to go and get stuff. And, you know, don't hold back on your body, everybody. I really mean it, because talk to me if you want to know about abuse. Yeah. Because I was an expert on it. Yeah. So
no, what we can do is, if we get to do this again, let's pull Michelle on here with us and let, you know, especially for the ladies, and I'll see if I can get Christina to join us and let the ladies talk. But you know, with my wife's experience, not only for her scientific experience, but her personal experience, being a mom, having Lyme disease when she was 19, having twins at the age of 26 and having one of those twins become cancer, and then electing not to have a medical abortion, that she was given a 99.99% chance that the son that she wanted to carry to term was going to be unhealthy or have mental health issues or everything else that goes along with it. And they couldn't treat her. They couldn't do chemo. They couldn't do anything else because it would have killed her son. And they told her, it's like, you're going to have cancer the rest of your life if you do this. And she's like, fine, I'm going to have a healthy son. So she elected to carry to term. And because of that, I mean, she's got a spinal tumor, a brain tumor, you know, skin cancer of all different kinds that she's dealt with over the years. And, you know, we've got 4 kids now. You know, our 17-year-old had cancer when he was 2, but through all of those experiences, she's always gone the integrative route, even though she's been in biotech and pharma. And the one thing I can tell you, that if you wanted to take anything from, the one person that you want to listen to, or you want to learn from, or that you want to get things from, is a highly motivated mother that's looking to take care of herself and take care of her kids. And that's because, guys, we have no comprehension when it comes to real parenting. We don't know what that's like. We let mama handle it. We show up and we're like, do I need to beat him today?
Yeah. Oh God. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I people say, and especially being I'm an older dad, and it's like, oh, it's better when you're older. You know, you've got more patience, and you know you're not. I'm impatient. I'm irritated all the damn time. It's a blooming work. Can't stop it now, everybody. You know, get out of it. You know. So it's like. Oh God! So yeah, that'd be great for next time with Michelle and your wife, Christina. I'll look forward to that. Let's do it soon, and I'll speak to Michelle about that, and that'd be great, Clayton. So yeah, everybody, thanks for joining us again. And just hold it one sec, Clayton. So I want to ask you something very quick before when we close. So thanks for joining us, everybody. Jason Liosatos, Clayton Thomas, therootbrands.com. Amazing. Get your health right. Get your mind right. Get your spirituality right. Get everything right. But because guess what? We're at the fork in the road right now. And that portal's waiting for you to jump through it. So don't blow it, yeah? You might not get another chance for thousands of years, right? Get my book, everybody, The Emergency Transformation of Human Beings. Go to my website, and I'm now off YouTube. You'll find me on brand new YouTube, BitChute, and Rumble. And thanks to the guys at Brand New Tube. They've helped me a lot, and I appreciate it. And you're good guys out there. So take care of yourselves, everybody, and keep your spirits up, and see you next time. All the best, and God bless. Bye-bye.